Hey, deserving listener, a lot of you have asked that I go back in time and watch Geoffrey and is it Vanya or Varya? Can't remember her name, and follow their story. So let's get to it. My name is Dr. Kirk Honda. I am a therapist and I'm also a professor. And as I always say, particularly in the description below, these videos are not a replacement for therapy. If you have clinical issues, you shouldn't be using YouTube, and me included, as a replacement for therapy. So make sure you get a therapist. You deserve that. Let's get to the show.
Growing up, I was a bad boy. But all that changed when I became a father.
Now, I usually try to avoid the internet and I try to avoid rumors about the people that I'm talking about because I want to be as clean as possible as I watch the show. However, I have heard some things that indicate that he has issues of intimate partner violence in the past. So I just want to acknowledge that up front, that I'm not completely naive to what people are saying about him, but I don't know very much beyond that.
And I'm raising 3 children from 2 different relationships.
Paxton and Dakota are my kids from a relationship 20 years ago.
I also have a 4-year-old son, Caven, but my marriage with
Caven's mother.
didn't work out. It's devastating to me. So many failed marriages made it really hard to trust people again.
That isn't necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes people have a number of marriages, but it also is interesting when we think about how maybe a lot of those marriages might have ended due to intimate partner violence. Maybe in between this episode and the next episode, I'm going to try to look into some information so that I'm not completely ignorant as we watch the show, because it might help enhance my analysis of what's happening.
I've had a lot of heartbreak in my life, but by far the absolute worst is what happened to Chasm. I actually had 2 kids with my recent ex. Caven had a younger brother named Chasm. My son, Chasm, actually passed away.
He was at the house and he had a seizure. Several days later, they had him on life support and I held him as they pulled the plug.
Wow, that is rough. That is rough. That is awful.
Losing a child is the absolute worst thing that could ever happen to you. There's gonna be a hole in my heart for the rest of my life. But I know Chasm's all around me, and that gives me peace in my heart to know that.
Yeah, that's rough. That's rough.
I met my Russian girlfriend Varya online roughly 5 months ago. And in 5 days, I'll be going to Russia to finally meet her for the first time. But I honestly don't know if I can take another hit in my heart if things do go awry.
So Geoffrey has said that a few times, that he is at the end of his road romantically, that he's been through a lot of heartache, according to his narrative, and that he really wants this to work out, and he doesn't know what he's going to do if it doesn't work out. There's nothing wrong with saying like, oh man, I mean, it takes so long. I thought I would find my soulmate when I was younger. I thought I did find my soulmate. It turned out that these people weren't my soulmate. So there's nothing wrong with being exasperated, but there is something troublesome or potentially setting yourself up for disaster if you believe like this is your last hurrah and it better work, because when you're dating, you need to have that flexibility of like, well, I'm going to give this a shot and I hope things work out, but what are the chances that it will? Usually when you meet someone, chances are that's not the one. Chances, it happens sometimes for sure. They meet someone online, it's the first person they ever dated, boom, they're married for another 70 years. 70 years. Yeah, that happens, but on average, most people, if you just counted up all the relationships that they started thinking it might result in something, and then all the relationships that ended up lasting more than 20 years, I'm guessing it would be a pretty stark ratio. 50 relationships that you thought might work out, maybe would work out, that didn't work out, for every 1 relationship that did work out for more than 5-10 years, depending on the situation. Some people, it might even be more. It might be hundreds of relationships when you consider just like one-time dates, these kinds of things. What it might do for Geoffrey is create overpressure to himself to make sure that this works, and an inflexibility about like, well, this doesn't seem to be working well, maybe I should call it off and try barking up another tree.
And I was actually thinking about taking a ring there too. freaking frog. Honestly.
Freaking frack. It's kind of from the Battlestar Galactica universe.
It's stupid. I'm sorry, Jeff. I just afraid she will use you as a step because Russia is very hard to survive. Next step for her, better life, is America. I'm very sure Varya is opportunist. I know this type of women because when I had chance, I left Russia to give my son better future.
Interesting. So she's saying, essentially, that it's automatic that if there's a Russian woman interested in an American man, that the only reason why they're in it is to get to the United States because there's a better life for her and her son. And she's seemingly kind of admitting that that's why she did it as well. It's interesting. I don't think that's fair to accuse all people in Russia who would date an American to that motive. But, you know, it is something that happens, right? And as I've said in other couples, you can have both. You can have both the motivation of, I want to get out of this community because there's not a lot of opportunity, and I want to move to the United States because, at least in my head, it'll be better. And I really like this guy. So you can have both. You could also have just one or the other. And in this show, it's really hard to figure out. I think with some of the couples, it's easier to figure out than other couples. But often when I'm watching, I'm like, well, I don't know. It's hard to get into someone's head. Maybe with this couple, there will be some data along those lines.
Most likely, she just won't get out of country.
So you think that possibly she's only doing this just to get to America?
Smart women.
It always surprises me how surprised the people on this show are. I don't know if he's just playing it up for the cameras, but Geoffrey, at least in that moment, seemed to be exhibiting this brand new novel thought. Wait, so you think she might only like me because she wants to get to America? It's interesting how naive some of these people are. Now, we can't fault people for not knowing things because it's not like there's a school that people go through where they're taught these details. So, you know, when Big Ed went to the Philippines and was just like so surprised at what it was like, it always surprises me how surprised they are. But, you know, you can't fault people for being naive. You can fault people for not looking into it a little bit, I think, not Googling it a little bit, you know.
As far as I know, I'm the only American that she's even spoken to.
Does she speak decent English?
Yeah, she speaks really good English, actually.
See, she has her goal to come to America.
Interesting. So that wouldn't be something that I would assume. So to her, she's saying, if this young woman speaks decent English, then a long time ago, she set out to lure an American man with her fluent English so that she could move to the United States. And for the average Russian woman, she doesn't spend time learning English because there's not a huge reason to do so. Or so, I don't know exactly what she's saying, but that's interesting. I don't know. You know, I don't know much about this, so I'm just taking this in.
She moved from small town to Moscow. But right now, she's city girl. You bring her here in the village, she will become miserable very quickly.
I think that if she potentially comes to the country and sees the beauty of the country, and she can say, hey, this is mine.
No, she will like, I'm sitting here in this freaking mountain and I don't have a place to wear my shoes, pretty heels, and my dresses to show my beautiful body, my beauty somewhere.
Well, she's pretty sure that this is not going to work. It's interesting.
It's what's going to happen. And she just turn around and leave.
I just have a positive outlook. I have a positive feeling about the situation.
Yeah, okay, yeah, put your pink glasses on and go ahead. You're going to hurt yourself and you're going to hurt your boys.
I understand Olga's concerns, but I don't think it's going to sway my mind.
The thing I always think when I watch these kinds of scenes is, why doesn't Geoffrey just say something like, yeah, you know what, you could be right, but I want to give it a try, and I'm not going to marry it. Now, he says he's going to propose. I think that's what people are reacting to, because that's the whole idea of, 90 Day Fiancé. But under normal circumstances, I think most people would say, well, I met this person online. God knows who they really are. I'm going to travel to Siberia and I'm going to see when we're going to get to know each other in person. And, we'll see what happens. Maybe things will blossom into marriage. They probably won't, but, let's see what happens. I think that most other people and me watching would say, okay, you're not just diving into something without knowing what's happening. And that makes a lot of sense. You're dating someone, and it just happens to be long distance.
I leave for Russia tomorrow to meet my girlfriend, Varya, for the first time. I don't even know what to bring. The last few years have been extremely hard, and I just want to find happiness again.
So that does bring up my first hypothesis, that due to the death of his child and the dissolution of the relationship with the mother, of which we don't really know much details about, at least I don't, it stands to reason that one would have a desperate desire for closeness and love, and that one might make rash decisions or be overly optimistic. Why would you do that? We see this actually with Yolanda as well, and maybe David as well, where you have a need. We all have this, most of us have this need where we want to connect, we want love, we want security, we want companionship, we want a soulmate. We want to feel loved. We want to build a life with someone. We have that need. Most of us do. And we're also hurting. Maybe you're hurting because of a grief. And so you not only have an unmet need, but you're also really hurting and you have a lot of pain in your life. And you really need that relationship to kind of offset that amount of pain. And so in your mind, you're like, and I need it now, because if it takes me, and I have sessions with clients around this sort of thing where I'll say like, well, it might take a long time to find your companion. And they're just like, if this takes 5 years to find my soulmate, I don't know if I can last that long. I need closeness now, in the next 6 months or something. But like, if this takes a long time, if I get involved with someone and then after 3 years, I find out yet again that it's not going to work out, like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. It's demoralizing. I need a relationship now. And that it's normal. That's okay. It's normal. And so with that deep need and then the tremendous worry about what if this one is just like all the other relationships that Geoffrey has been in, you have a problem. You have a dissonance in your mind of, oh God, what if this doesn't work out? It's a fear. And when we have these kind of psychic fears, we have to have a defense against that. And one of the defenses is over-optimism. There's a word for it I won't go into, but it's over-optimism, idealization, and saying like, well, this is absolutely going to work. This is for sure. Look at all the signs. And then if people on the outside are just like, are you crazy? Like, you have no idea who this person is. But to the Geoffreys of the world, it could be so helpful to relax them, to believe that this is absolutely going to work, that they ignore any evidence that it's not going to work. They highlight all the evidence that it's going to work, and they just believe because they have to believe. Because if they don't believe, then they become demoralized. So what we would want to help with someone like Geoffrey is to help them to have their attachment needs right now in their relationship. Maybe they could get closer to their kids or their friends or other people, maybe even their exes they could be friends with or something. Get him his attachment needs met so that he doesn't rely solely on the companion, the soulmate, as a way of getting all of his attachment needs met. Also, to maybe help him grieve his feelings, get an outlet for his emotions so that he doesn't have to use a soulmate to meet those emotional needs, so that he isn't so demoralized by the reality that it might not work out and thus so in need of a defensive over-optimism.
I really am excited about the situation. I don't know how quickly things are going to go there, but I mean, there is a chance that, we do get engaged or something.
Geoffrey is extremely impulsive, and this is a perfect example of that. It's always 100 miles an hour, straight at the wall.
Interesting. So first, I always like it when the friends or family provide at least some data on the broader personality of someone. According to this friend, Geoffrey is impulsive and 100 miles per hour straight into the wall. So we don't know exactly what that means, but let's keep that in mind as we move forward.
I just don't understand why such the drastic change of countries.
I know, just
You are a good-looking guy. You can
You're blowing
have
up too much, Mary.
anyone you want. Do you know that? Why Russia? Why are you even going there instead of here, 2 feet from you? Why am I not good enough?
Okay. So she might still have feelings for him?
But Mary and I have tried multiple times to be with each other in the past. And I think we make better friends than lovers, actually. This girl is not like the rest of the girls that I've dated.
Really? Does she know everything about you? Your past, more specifically?
Well, no.
So they keep talking about his past, and I'm guessing this is referring to the things that I'm going to learn when I Google about him. So maybe that's what they're talking about?
I absolutely hate talking about my past.
And if she accepts it, that's great. And if she doesn't, then she's not the one.
For this to have a true chance, I have to lay it on the table. And that's scary in a sense.
You deserve happiness. I just don't want this to be another dead end for you.
I hope it works out.
Now, he did say something earlier that might be a little telling, which he said that she's not like the other people that I've dated before. What qualities, I wonder, that Varya has that he's identifying as not like the other women that he's dated before? I wonder what that is. He didn't say, but I wonder what that is. All right, well, that does it for our first installment following Geoffrey and Varya. Tune in next time when we continue with their story. And please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.